Today we're going to make sourdough bread. What I'm going to do is to make the starter. So instead of using fresh yeast, we're going to cultivate and make a starter. And all it is flour and water. Fill a little bit of water in a pot, and then I'm going to use wholemeal flour. I have used rye flour before as well for my starter. And all you do is basically just pour it in. And then mix it up and leave it. We have to leave it for about 72 hours, thereabouts. Leave it for a couple of days and then it will ferment. So leave the, don't close the lid fully because it might explode. So just leave it loose. So here's the one that I've had going now for a few months. And as you can see, it sort of separates a little bit. But then just give it a stir. We can make our sponge with this, which is the Levain. So that's the next stage. So this is the first stage, getting your starter going. And you can smell it, it's definitely fermented. So all you need to do for making the Levain, the sponge, is pour a bit of this in. I usually use about half. And then I'm going to use wholemeal flour. And then pour just a bit in there. You don't need to measure it really. I'm going to make it nice and soft because I'm going to make it by hand. But you can make it in a machine and you can do it, basically make it like a dough. But this is going to be a much softer dough, so that I can work with it by hand. So this is an easier way to do it by hand. And just give it a good old mix up. Get it nice and smooth. Develop gluten. It'll probably take a few minutes. It's just like a very soft dough. That's coming together. And then once you've mixed it for about 4 or 5 minutes, just cover it up and we'll leave that for probably about 6 hours, or you can leave it overnight. And then with your starter, you've got to keep feeding it. So I basically top it up with some more water and then put some more flour in. Now I probably won't make another batch of bread for maybe 4 days, and that'll be fine for about 4 days. You could even do it again in a couple of days. It's basically like using really slow acting yeast. It just takes a lot longer to make a loaf of bread. So it's probably going to take all day. So this will rise up for about 6 to 8 hours. Then we'll make the dough, and that's the next stage. Okay, now it's an exciting bit. You can see how much it's risen up. So this is only about 5 hours or 5.5 hours later, and you can smell, it smells very sour. So now we're going to make the dough. It's the exciting bit. I'm going to use some wholemeal flour and some white flour. Scrape it out of the bowl. I've got a scraper, and we'll do it on the table. Put about half and half. So it's about 50% of the flour compared to the sponge, the Levain. And we'll make a bay. We'll get some lukewarm water, a little bit from the kettle. Okay, we'll also add a little bit of salt. So So the salt is just a little bit of flavour, and it also actually slows the yeast down, but not necessarily. We don't really want to slow the yeast down in this method, because we want it to work as best as possible. Put a little bit of water in the way. You can see what this looks like. I've got a plastic scraper as well, just to get this out. That can all just chuck together basically. You can do all this in a mixer if you want to, but it's nice to get your hands dirty. Nice small water, and we're going to mix it into a dough. Okay, now you can really stretch the gluten. Might need a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick. We'll just keep it moving. All I'm doing is just pushing it away and bringing it towards me. Just keep doing that until it's nice and smooth. Get nice and smooth now. Okay, now what we're going to do is to cut it in half, because we're going to make 2 loaves. Usually with a standard dough, you then let it to rest, give it bulk fermentation, where you let it rest then for about an hour. But actually I've tried that, and you don't necessarily need to do it, because the gluten is rested because of the first stage, which is like a sponge, which is called sponge and dough method. So essentially the gluten has had a rest anyway. So now, mould it round, but we do give it an intermediate proof, but only for 10 minutes. We let it then rest for 10 minutes. Cover it up so it doesn't get skin on it. We give it a bit of a flour underneath so it doesn't stick too much to the table. I'm just going to cover it up with the mixing bowl on that one, and then the mixing bowl that I used for the first stage on that one, and let's let it rest for a bit. Some seeds for the next stage. Okay, so they've been resting about 10 minutes, and what I've got together is the seeds. I've got some egg wash, and also we're going to be using a dish again, cleaned it out, and you can use some bread baskets, some proving baskets, but I use one of these because actually the majority of people probably won't have these and you have to buy them. So I'll show you how you can use just a normal dish. Okay. So now we've got to mould the shapes up. We'll do one round one, and we'll do one that's going to be a standard loaf shape. Okay, it's stuck a little bit on the table, but it's fine. Soon comes up. Flour. So let's do round one first of all, and it's exactly the same technique we used for kneading it. We're just going to mould it round. So you just roll it, mould it round like that, push it away, pull it towards you, so that it gets a nice shape and it pulls all the gluten all around on itself. Don't do too much so that it stretches and splits it, but you want it in a nice shape. And then what we're going to do with this one is egg wash the top and dip it in the seeds. And we'll use this one to put it in to prove it up. So this is going to be our proving bowl. flour it as well, just so it doesn't stick. Make sure all the seeds are stuck on the eggy bits that you've just egg washed. And then that goes in here to prove up. We'll dust it with a bit of flour as well, so it doesn't stick too much. You can pat it around a bit, so it doesn't stick too much around the edge, because that's going to prove up nicely. And then what we do is we'll put it into a plastic bag, so it's nice and sealed for proving up. Then this next one we'll do into a standard loaf shape. You can put it into a loaf tin if you want to, but I'm going to use one of the proving baskets. And these are very good if you've got a really soft dough or using a really soft flour, something like a rye flour. Or spelt flour. These are really good for holding the shape of the loaf. Make sure it's nice and floured. And then all we do is we fold it over into like an envelope shape, like that. So fold one flap over and fold one bit over, and then make it into an envelope shape, like that. So it's nice and neat all around the edge. And there's a slight taper, so it tapers out the way towards me. And you just make sure that all the air's out of it by patting it down. And the first bit, you just roll over with your fingers, and then you just Swiss roll it, so get your thumbs underneath it and Swiss roll it away from you. So it's nice and uniform, and it's got a nice shape to it there. And then that just goes into the bread basket. And we'll put a polythene bag over that as well. Don't let it touch the dough, because it will stick. And then we'll just seal it around the edge, and we'll let that prove up as well. We'll let those prove up probably for about 2 or 3 hours. We'll wait until they're nice and large before they then go into the oven. I've made sure that the tray is just slightly warm, so that it keeps it a nice warm temperature, but not too hot where it's going to make the dough skin. I'll put it on top of a tray, and I'll turn the hob on every now and then just to keep it nice and warm, but not too hot where it skins the dough. Okay, it's nearly there. The dough's doubled in size. I'm just going to heat up the oven to 180 degrees, and I'm going to put a tray at the bottom. Okay, they've pretty much doubled in size now, and they're ready to go into the oven. You have to be very gentle with it, because you could knock it and it will deflate. Let's have a look. Yeah, they've gone really big. I'm going to put some Teflon on here and then turn them out. Have to be really gentle. And then the same with this one. Okay, it's ready to go in the oven. What I'll also do is to pour some water in the tray at the bottom to create some steam. That'll take 25 minutes. Okay, it's ready to come out. Wow, look at that. You can tap the bottom to make sure it's done. It's split open, just where it's sprung up in the oven. Okay, let's see what it tastes like. Still a bit warm. Lovely and crispy. You can eat it with nothing on. Okay, I've made these other ones using wholemeal flour. And that's how to make sourdough bread. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.